So, welcome everybody to this week's episode of Women Celebrating Women with me, Franny Kirby. I'm so excited this week because I get 3 for the price of 1. I have 3 amazing women today who are going to be talking about a really amazing, beautiful collaboration that they have. So, I'm going to do a short intro to each of them, and then we're going to move on to talk about what they've come to talk about. So we have Caroline, first of all, my lovely friend Caroline. She is a woman of many talents, an inspiring coach, someone who chooses to live life to the full. Anyone who knows her knows she loves jumping into ice lakes. And that is what, her spirit is so joyful, intoxicating, expansive. She's a published author, and she's the driving force behind this collaboration. So welcome, Caroline.
Hello, thank you.
And then we have the lovely Dina, all the way from Australia. And we'll just say at the outset, Dina lives in a vineyard. So they're picking grapes today. So she's doing her best to join, but she may need to go off and help with all the grape picking. So Dina is an artist, and you can see some of her beautiful work behind you. And she specializes in collaborative projects and commissions that allow her to draw on her vast experience working in film as a performance director. And expand her studio practice of cinematic drawing. And it's so lovely to have you here. So thank you so much. What time is it in Australia, Dina?
It's about 7:30 in the morning.
Wow. So thank you so much for joining. We also have Dina's dog in the background, who may bark a little, but we're hoping not too much. Lovely. And then last but definitely not least, we have the lovely Nicola. And she is the inspiration behind the Cinderella School in Castelfranco, which started 17 years ago and growing as we speak. She's an accomplished dancer who's graduated from the Royal Ballet School in London. Also, one of her many talents, a proficient violinist and costume designer. And you may be able to see a sneaky peek of one of her costumes behind you. And then not to mention that she's also a choreographer extraordinaire. So I am sitting in the greatness of these 3 amazing women. So I'm so happy that you've all managed to join and all managed to join at the same time of all the things that all of you have going on. So thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
Yeah.
And what we're meeting up today to discuss is their joint venture, which is a new beautiful ballet based on Caroline's book. It's going to be performed by Nicola's ballet school, and the art, and we can see some of the scenery behind us, is being done by Dina. So Caroline, could you want to tell us more about the background to this amazing collaboration that you're all doing?
Yes, well, it started very early on when I was rummaging around trying to find a poem, or trying to create a poem for an A-level thing that I was doing, and this thing called Toe Shoe just came up, and it was a very short poem, I think, that was just about a ballet dress and a ballerina. And then I shelved it. I got my A-level and shelved it, and that was that. And then kind of 35 years later, or 35 years later, I was doing some energy work on a chap who came up with some strange scenery that he started drawing after we'd had our sessions, and he'd no idea what he was drawing, but immediately I understood this story that was developing about Venice and this tragedy and this ballet, and it all sort of came flooding back. So when I moved out of England and came down to the Alps, I decided I was going to just sell up and go and spend some time in Venice and write this book, Toe Shoe, which is what we did. So Toe Shoe was written and it was published. It was originally just the Venetian story, which was a bit of a tragedy. And then I just kind of thought to myself, I can't leave this. It's not Romeo and Juliet. I have to have a happy ending. So then developed the story about the London story, where they meet up again kind of 200 years later in London. And whilst I was working on the book in Feltry outside Venice, it's where I met Dina. And since then, Dina and I have been excitedly working first on a feature film, and then with a mentor that we'd been working with from Los Angeles, she suggested we turned it into an 8 episodic TV series, which is what we've done. So that's where we've got to right now. So it's all exciting, and it just keeps taking on different avenues. It's like a tree, you know, it just keeps growing in different directions, you know.
Amazing. So, it's like a creative vortex that's pulling in all these amazing, like, creative artists.
Yeah.
So Dina, so tell me more about when you and Caroline met. Like, what? So you obviously live in Australia, but so you went back to Italy. Tell us more about that story of when you and Caroline first met and how you came to work together.
Well, it's pretty much from dinner in the Mezzoterra, or via Mezzoterra, and I met Caroline there. Got a copy of the book and started reading it. Caroline at that time was working towards a screenplay. She was having reviews sent to her. And so I took the book back and read it, and then looked at the reviews that she'd paid lots of money for, and said to her, well, I think we could move forward on this, like in lots of different ways. And so then I flew back, Caroline flew me back, and we worked together for 2 weeks. And it's quite interesting when you try and shift an art form from one space to another. So a novel is not a screenplay, and a screenplay is not a miniseries, and a miniseries isn't a ballet. It's an interesting creative challenge, and that's what we got into. So the characters remain consistent, and over time have developed, changed, their life histories have changed, and they've grown more and more complex, which has been really interesting. So Carol and I just worked shooting emails and narrative backwards and forwards. And that was like it for a while. We met up with a producer in London who recommended we shift it because it is very, very dense as a story, to become a mini series, which allowed us to go into a lot of personal histories. So the characters, we went back in time, which has created a lot of depth and interest. There's another story with Gilda that Caroline's been working on, which is, you know, ice skating, again, performance, ballet orientated in lots of ways. So it's just dialoguing and editing and dialoguing and editing, and each person brings in such a different perspective on what moves something along. And as we've worked towards a ballet, it's been great because we've had to kind of go 100% the other way, because where we were dealing with, oh, we've got a feature and we're growing this to be 8-part miniseries, and we've got a ballet and backstory, well, no, and lots of characters, well, no, and oh, it's like been really like chiseling it down to the essence of story and character emotions to get each scene and scenario. And the three of us have had great fun doing that. So it started on paper when we had the exhibition.
Yeah, so tell me more about this, because I know, because I was there, but obviously
you were there.
Tell me more about this exhibition last year.
The exhibition grew through lockdown. It was like I was meant to be exhibiting in Feltre in 2020, and it didn't happen. And here in Victoria and Australia, we had one of the longest lockdowns in the world, because we had 0-0 for a long period. 2020 got cancelled, 2021 got cancelled, and during this time, Caroline and I were dialoguing about what I would show and where I would show. And then Caroline managed to find this amazing space below the Siena Theatre in Feltre. I hope I've pronounced that right, Caroline.
Siena, it's cool. Yes, yes.
And this theatre features in the screenplay, and 2 of the characters are captured with below this theatre. So I said, Caroline, well, why don't we base the exhibition? Why don't we curate a body of work around the screenplay? Because most of my work is about movement and about metaphor. I had a body of work called Angelo's Struggle, which I know you've admired, and that's there. And then I had a suite of magnolia prints where the pink of the petals kind of allowed me to see that kind of balletic movement with the colours and things. And then there was an orange rose, which was the flame of desire of two people meeting and becoming one, which Caroline's got Take My Hand, I think. So because in Australia we're very integrated in the arts, and lots of exhibitions I've had in the past have had ballet performers performing or contemporary dancers working, and I work with a contemporary dancer here who dances and I paint her, and then we exhibit the works and she dances back to those works and then I paint those, and so that there's this kind of progress of drawing the movement. I said, Caroline, I wonder if there's anyone that might like to perform in the space. It's a huge space. So then Caroline picked up the phone, which was brilliant.
Amazing. And so let's move on to that. I'm so like, that's such a beautiful little story. Caroline, tell me more about how you found the lovely Nicola.
So I'd kind of been thinking for a while, we need some dancers. How the hell am I going to find these dancers? What am I going to do? And then, you just have these days where you wake up and you think, this is the day I'm going to find a dancer. So I just kind of followed my nudges and my intuition, picked up my phone, looked in Google, and I just put the best dance schools in Veneto. And Nicola's was the first one that came up. And so, right? And when that happened, I looked at her Facebook side or her website, I think, and it said Nicola Kennedy, and I thought, you're kidding me. It sounds like she could be English. So I phoned her, and it said it doesn't open till 4 in the afternoon. It was about 10:30 in the morning. So I phoned the number and she picked up the phone, and I thought, this is great. This is an Irish accent. And so it would have been okay if she was Italian, because I speak okay Italian. But the great thing was we had so many similarities, as we were sort of chatting, weren't we? We were just talking about our story and people we'd known and the Royal Ballet and things like this. And there were just so many synchronicities and so many similarities. And I think it just so happened that your son Giorgio and his partner had just been finishing a play about Romeo and Juliet, a ballet about Romeo and Juliet. And so she said it was perfect because Angela and Celeste from Toshu, or Danza Fatale as we call it in the ballet, were going to be the perfect people to come in and do this. So it just kind of, then the momentum picked up, right? And then it was fantastic, and we all arrived and had to put this thing together within minutes and days, didn't we, really? I mean, you were literally just finishing something else, and Dina was just arriving from Australia, and it was like, oh gosh. Well, and we'd taken a big chunk, because we were planning a dinner and all sorts of stuff to go around this event, so there was lots to be done. But it was just meant to be. And it was, when it actually happened, it was so, for me, and I know for a lot of other people, when it actually happened, and the art was on the wall and the music was there, and we also had some narrators who they translated some of the book into Italian, which sounds so much better than when you say it in English. It's so dramatic, and so
right.
You're all just in tears, and then you got these ballet dancers swinging around you, and it's just it was phenomenal. So after that we just said, right, and so many people during the event said, well, when are you going to do the full show? We need the full show now. This has been incredible, and the artwork, and everything was so successful, but we now need the next thing. So
wow. So I'm just going to pull it back a bit, because I want to hear from Nicola. What was it like that day when
yes, Caroline, you stole all my news.
Sorry, in your words, it'd be much better.
Okay.
So you've been in how long you been in Italy? So it's a long time, isn't it? It's not.
It has. I finished at with the Royal Ballet in 1990, so that's 33 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I worked around Europe wherever the Royal Ballet sent me, and then they sent me here. I had no idea where I was going because I didn't speak Italian, but I did speak four other languages. So they said, you're the girl for the job, go and sort these people out. So yeah, I came to Italy in 1991 then. And I started teaching here, not in my own school. I taught for 16 years in other schools all around Italy, apart from Castelfranco. And then I decided when my two children were very tiny, well, let's just put the roots in, open my own school and stop traveling about. Because it is lovely to teach in lots of schools. I mean, I must have taught thousands and thousands of children around Italy, and did the competitions, the jury for competitions, and taught exams and organized the auditions to go up to London, and lots of experience. But then you get to by that time I was 36, so I decided this is part 3 of my life, and so let's just open my own school and stay put for a while. And so that's what I did, and it's been very, very good. What was going to say then?
We were going to come to the day that Caroline calls you. So
oh wow!
In Italy,
Franny, that was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was an unbelievable time of my life, because well, as Caroline and Dina and I literally had lost my husband 1 month before from cancer. Yeah. So I was in. Well, it was one of those state of mind that you don't know where your life's going to go.
Yeah.
You don't know where the answers are going to be to all those questions.
Yeah.
I was putting on my end of year show, yeah, but almost like walking on air. I didn't know what to do with myself. Yeah. I have 2 sons who are both dancers for me, and they are extraordinary. And the younger one, he is our Angelo Daria, and he was dancing Romeo in my end of year show, which had been the show that I had always wanted to do. I was literally waiting for him to be old enough to do it, because he's 17, and 17 was just it. I mean, and his Juliet was 16. that was just the age, the perfect age, because you need that maturity, but you still need to be so fresh. Yeah. And you still need to be, a boy, not a man, I think, for those sorts of parts. And the extraordinary, it's exactly the same in Caroline's story. I mean, I can't believe the timing. It was like she just rang me, and I said, my goodness, there's someone ringing me in English, which I never, no one ever rings me in English. And she talked to me about it, and I couldn't believe it. It was like somebody telling me, this is where you have to go now. There's been a big, massive door closed on you. And now this is going to be,
opening
an opening to something very new and very exciting. Mm-hmm. Not just for me, because I keep working and I do the best I can, but I think it's going to be absolutely wonderful for the kids. Yeah. For Giorgio and his partners and I've got just my bigger children dancing, obviously, because the school is quite large, but I thought 25 would be just about right.
Yeah.
So and then I got them all really excited. So I got one hip hop teacher and one contemporary dance teacher giving me a hand with all the choreographies, so that I could concentrate on the ballet side of it. Yeah, which makes for a very good show, Franny. It's because it's not just all one style. I think you really do need to have a collaboration. So it's a collaboration from Cinderella, as well as between Caroline, Dina, and I. It is a massive collaboration, and everybody getting together. So it was just an amazing timing more than anything else, because when she talked about Mickey coming from Ireland, oh my God, you know, I do too.
Yes, of course, of course.
And the violinist, oh, wow, I'm a violinist too. Although I haven't played the violin for a long time, but I was much better a violinist than I was a dancer. And then the fact of Caroline's friends, she had a friend who was with the Royal Ballet as well. I said, unbelievable, I can't believe it. So it had to be done. It was a bit of a mad 20 days getting getting half an hour put on, because I don't think people realize that it takes quite a long time,
absolutely.
I mean, you think of a magic wand, but
it feels like there's something magical that goes on in this area, because you think about this is where Dina and Caroline first met. Caroline also went to write, I think, didn't you? When you first went to write, was around there. And then this is where you get pulled in. To me, there's like something really magical about this, just how the synchronicities around all of your meeting and coming together. I just think it's beautiful. And I mean, obviously I was there at the exhibition, and that beautiful artwork, and then that beautiful interpretation by the dancers. And Dina, I think you're right. I'm not sure I see that so much here in the UK. Like, we go to art exhibitions or we go to the ballet, I don't see that kind of cross collaboration with the arts, and it was just so beautiful to see both that, and then also the actors that came in, and the narration. I didn't understand a word they were saying. I was Duolingoing like madly before I went to Italy to try and pick up even a tiny bit of Italian, but it was just that there was such a, you could just tell the room was kind of captivated by the way that they were relating the story, and the kind of tears and the welling up, and then the snippet of ballet that you put on last year. I mean, incredible. Like you said, you had such a short amount of time, and they were just incredible. It was just like, it really did just take your breath away watching them. And the sort of I mean, I've been to ballet myself. I love going to the ballet over here, but like to be that up close and kind of like in the same room and in that space and really feeling that emotion, I just thought it was so incredible.
Yeah, because I think one thing that this show will show, which is one thing that every Tuesday morning when we have our chat, and they go through, the script with me and the scenes. And it's overwhelming. So I had the really bad one. I said, no, that's too much. It's too much for a ballet. So as Dina said, we have brought it down to emotion. That's going to be the most important thing. And it's what I love when I look at a ballet. I mean, if I'm completely lost in what's going on in the story, I just don't enjoy it half as much.
I totally agree. There's something.
It has been the most important thing for me.
There's something very pure, isn't there, about that kind of when you can like bring it down to the emotion, and that you connect on that emotional level.
Yes.
And I'm not saying we don't do that with story, because we do, but there's such beauty in that kind of watching a dance and feeling that emotion, and that the way the dancers are able to get that across. Incredible.
But hopefully that they will be as relaxed as they normally are, because I don't like to stress them. I mean, we don't have to be technically the most top company in the world. That's not what it's about. I mean, these are kids who've danced with me, but they've danced with me 2 and 3 lessons a week. I mean, they're not like they're doing hours every day, and they're doing a very, very, very good job. It's beautiful.
But I sense, for me, there's like a real soul in this project. So I think Caroline was the sort of the initial, the seed that's kind of grown with her collaboration with Dina, and then bringing you in. And I think that's definitely what I saw last summer in those dances. There's a real soul to the way they dance, and I think when there's that, it just takes over, and you're just like, it's just incredible.
Yeah, especially when they really feel for each other. What do you mean? They have a really, really, really good friendship relationship. No competition. I mean, they're not all going to be professional dancers, although that's certainly what Giorgio wants to do in his life. But This is all about being with his, the girls and the people he's grown up with. So
yeah, absolutely.
He's really excited there.
And maybe we could just say, like, have a little bit more, because this is a love story, isn't it? This ballet is a love story.
Indeed.
Without kind of going, like, giving loads away, do we want to, like, just say a little bit about the love story that there is? Because there's two different kind of love stories going on, isn't there?
Very different. You go, Caroline.
Okay, well, the first one is very much about the entitled young prima ballerina whose father owned the Fenice Theatre in Venice in the 1790s, and she was looking for a partner. And Angelo Daria is an orphan, the offspring of a prostitute from the ghetto at the time. So, they come together in this dance in Piazza San Marco in Carnivale. And, it's one of those things that is just a destiny, a fate, whatever you want to call it. And they dance together. And, obviously there's a price to pay. And we have the tragedy, because it is a tragedy at the end. But it's a very deep love. And they're, the love that they have for each other is very much portrayed on the dance floor, on the stage. Right, so that goes through the whole thing. And then obviously you're left with this tragedy, and then a whole different kind of concept of love, really, because then if we're going from the screenplay, which is different from the book, when we go into the London thing, Charlie Benson is effectively Celeste's reincarnated character, and she is she's a high fashion designer. She's had a bit of a flop, she's had a bit of a dumb deal. Her mother had left them, and her father's a high politician, so she's sort of shoved off into boarding schools and stuff, and obviously hits the dance floor at speed with whatever it takes her to get high, basically. And Mickey Figgett is also an orphan from Ireland. So when he comes over, they're also very different characters. They're very unlikely characters. He's an immigrant from Ireland and doesn't have any money or standing. And she's who she is, and they unlike Celeste and Angelo, they repel each other. They dislike each other extremely in the beginning because they're so different, and I guess they mirror the things in each other that they don't like about themselves. And of course, then obviously there's a better ending, but I'm not going to tell you what that is.
No, don't tell us. I think it would be really lovely, because I can see there's both Nicola and Dina have some things behind them that are from the ballet. So Nicola, come and show us, because Nicola, not only is she a choreographer, but she also is a costume designer. So, oh wow, these beautiful shirts.
That's Angelo's shirt. And in Danza Fatale, it's like a carnival, so there's Harlequin and Columbine.
Beautiful.
And oh, you haven't seen this one yet, Caroline.
Oh,
this is Charlie's shiny red.
Oh, cool.
Oh my gosh, I think Charlie and I have like the same taste in fashion.
I think you do.
It's good, isn't it?
I love it.
You're going to be fighting Franny off these costumes.
She's got gorgeous red trousers.
I'll be buying us all the costumes when you finish.
Oh, and this is Francesco Zanetti, who is Celeste's dad. He's got a very posh brocade jacket for Piazza San Marco. So there you are.
So much talent. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah, I will definitely be like I already got my own, and 2 or 3 of those for myself. And then Dina, we've got this beautiful scenery behind us. So tell us more about your involvement in the ballet and the scenery that you've been painting.
Well, painting scenery is not something I normally do, so it's been quite challenging. I'd love to see what they're going to look like blown up as soon as possible, because like, I have no idea how they're going to transcribe from 40 by 30 to 8 meters by 6 meters, but I'm assured it's going to be okay.
It'll be absolutely fantastic.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And we've played around with where the floor line is within the paintings and where the ballet dancers we think will be positioned. So it's kind of like making the costumes but blind without any fittings or subjects. So I think it's going to work. Determining what to paint was part of the script. So each scene had a background. And a big part of the storytelling is that the 1980s takes place in some of the 1790s locations.
Wow.
So in the screenplay and the storytelling of that, location is also character. Like we have scenes where Angelo's sitting in a chapel and Mickey enters through the door.
Wow.
Because the space is,
Absolutely.
distant, like it is there through both stories. Yeah. So some of the more complicated backdrops, like Celeste's bedroom, is also the museum that Charlie and Mickey meet in. So it's the same backdrop. The Piazza San Marco is the same backdrop, because they're like walking through the same space. They're treading the same footpath as the other two have, which is vibrationally quite interesting. And, to keep the dog wants back in. It's been in and out about 6 times.
So just explain for the viewers. So what you're doing is you're painting the scenery. So you're painting it in Australia, and then what's going to happen is this then is going to be projected. You're not.
So this is for the first performance scene that Angelo and Celeste do together, and it's a ballroom backdrop.
Yeah.
So I found reference and painted this. And we will see how it gets projected.
Love this.
Like. So this is, I quite like this one. This is the backdrop to that cat suit. Charlie's.
Oh, yes, I love this. Yes.
So there's quite different colour palettes going on. This is Caroline's favourite. I'll have to get this one over. So this is the view from Celeste's bedroom.
Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh, that's so
stunning. Which will also become the museum scene when Mickey and Charlie are in Venice researching a dress.
I love it. I love the idea when you're talking about that vibrational element to it, because it's something I have really, everything's all about our beliefs, but something like one of my beliefs is that that all times exist at the same time. So there's lots of different versions of us. So if we're saying that Charlie is a reincarnation of Celeste and that Mickey is of Giorgio, that they're gonna they're just that, and then they're back in their old echoes, the kind of echoes of each other, and that kind of you can kind of almost see one of them walking through the other one, that kind of and then kind of getting that, ooh, what did I just see there? That kind of that sense of it, that kind of beautiful, kind of interweaving, just really, really amazing.
That was the most tricky dance.
I'm sure.
I finished that last Wednesday. That was tricky.
Wow, amazing.
Well, I've got 2 big 2-meter panels.
Yeah.
Black panels. So they move Celeste and Angelo, they move them back and forward and then appear out and go and slightly touch one another, and it's pretty tricky.
Wow,
nice.
Pretty good. And then you turn the panels around and they're red for the disco.
Oh, I love this. Amazing. Oh, excuse me. I've got things flying around now. There's so much energy in the room. There's things flying around now. Wow. I mean, I have the pleasure already that I've booked my ticket and I'm coming and I'm going to be seeing these performances. But I'd like, Caroline, tell us more about when the ballet's on, where it is, and if people are interested, how they might
to go. Right.
Yeah.
Obviously it's in Castelfranco. And when Nicola had said to me, because we were trying to put it on in Feltri, obviously at the Teatro del Sena, which is the little but big sister of the Fenice in Venice, so the same architect. And they're busy renovating that at the moment, so it wasn't possible. And then Nicola said, oh, we've got a nice little theatre down in Castelfranco. So I had this vision of this sort of modern block thing. So, you know, I said, well, I'll just come down and have a look. And then she said, I arrived, I parked my car and she said, right, we've got an appointment with the theatre director. We're going to go and have a look. And I walked in and I went, oh my God. I was just numbstruck. It's such a beautiful theatre. It's like, I mean, it's such a beautiful town. You know, there's the castle and the moat and it's in the middle of the town, you know, just typical beautiful bijou Italian secret kind of place. But the theatre, it's just been renovated, hasn't it? They just finished renovating it
quite recently.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. You know, it's got the beautiful paintings all over the ceiling and we've all got boxes, you know, so we can go and pretend to be important. And...
It's just, I should say, bijou. It's a mini because it only holds 200 seats.
Oh, but I love that. There's such an intimacy to that, isn't there? There's such as the audience, you feel so much closer to the performance.
Absolutely. And it's perfect, you know, because we're going to have quality as an audience, right? And that's what we want. We want people who are going to be invested emotionally in it because it's going to be so stunning in many ways, in every way. So it's on the 3rd of April is what we call an open rehearsal, right, Nicola? And so that's for anybody who wants to go, and the seats are a little bit cheaper. You know, it's going to be a stunning performance as well. And then on the 4th, we're having our world premiere, which is like the big performance, and we have some golden tickets still available, and those are kind of the best seats in the house, and the people who have those automatically are invited to the after party afterwards, so also in the theatre. So so that's it. It's the ticket people are Viva Ticket, right. We can put a link up here.
I'll share the link when I post this, so that's
if you're following me on Instagram, Caroline Stevenson or Caroline Anconigi in Facebook, the links all over the place because I've just been putting loads of posts up and, you know, pictures of the ballet dancers and obviously everything that's going on, so it's cool to follow that too.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I guess they can get in touch with the theatre too, can't they? If they're.
And what's the name of the theatre? So in Castelfranco,
it's called Teatro Accademico.
Oh, love the way you say that.
Teatro Accademico a Castelfranco. Yeah.
And where? So just for those who don't know, where is Castelfranco in Italy, so that we've got an idea?
Castelfranco Veneto, because there is another Castelfranco Emilia near Bologna, so don't get mixed up. Castelfranco Veneto is 40 kilometers from Venice.
Amazing.
Okay, northwest of Venice. Yeah, so we're nearly at the foothills of the Alps. Just a very short journey from Venice, though.
Sounds so beautiful. Just the place itself sounds beautiful, let alone coming for the ballet as well. It's just like all of that.
Oh yes, there's only an hour to the beach as well.
Amazing.
Yeah. And for people who are coming, a lot of the people who are coming, like yourself, are coming for a few days, and you can get a cheap train ticket. I think it's about €8 to jump on the train from Castelfranco, spend the day in Venice, you know, and it's a 35-minute train ride into Venice, so you can kind of double the two up. So it's perfect. Amazing. Yeah.
I'm so excited for this. I think there's such an incredible energy behind this, and I just think the three of you coming together is so meant to be, and so like each of you bringing these amazing talents. Like, wow, like, you know, we've got writers, we've got choreographers, we've got artists, we've got like a film background, we've got, you know, Caroline's like a published author. Nicola, you know, you're not just a, you know, not just a choreographer, but you're also a dancer, and your costumes. It's amazing. All three of you, the talents that you're bringing to this, and I don't think it's just that, because I think it's like there is just a really incredible energy behind this, and it's just, to me it's like we're just kind of like going along with the flow, like you said, Nicola. Like when the time when Caroline met you, you were like, you weren't sure what was going on for you.
No.
And yet this opened up a whole new experience for you, like a whole new, oh wow, like I'm sure the day before Caroline phoned you, you weren't thinking that I'm going to be choreographing a whole kind of ballet to this time, like next
No, I
year.
literally didn't know where I was.
Absolutely. And then Dina as well. I mean, the way you kind of come in and your exhibition last year, which just really then inspired this kind of the ballet to come from it, and your, you know, not just your artwork, but you're kind of working with Caroline around the screenplay. And then what you were talking about earlier, I think it's so interesting, that kind of creative journey like you've gone on with the ballet, which is the opposite of what you were doing with the screenplay. You've kind of now moved to this space of like, well, now we need to just kind of hone it down. What's the emotion behind this? We're not going to have as much story, because that's not what the ballet is about. It's just amazing. I'm so excited for where this is going to go. I guess, you know, sort of one last question I'd have for each of you, like, where would you like to see this going? What's your kind of like, if you were going to just go no holds barred, where would you like to see this project next? What do you think?
I would say definitely, if we can do it to get to Feltry before Giorgio goes off to ballet academy and stuff, because then, you know, we'll effectively lose our great dancer, but we won't, because he'll always be with us. But that would be the great thing, to go to Feltry and then wherever, you know,
a world tour.
Why not? Why not? We might have to go to Melbourne so that Dina doesn't have to do all the flying.
Indeed. I feel like the UK is somewhere in this as well.
Yes.
Like, we come back to the Royal Ballet School at some point.
It would be nice, wouldn't it?
Like that in the background would be amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And the film, obviously, the TV script now. It's been an interesting thing, because it's been such a project and such a passion, and it's when, you know, the stuff that we're learning about the law of attraction and all the stuff that we learn, it's kind of very important that the only thing you're doing is you're following your creativity, you're following your passion, you're following the story. You're not getting attached to what the outcome should be at the end. You're not getting attached to any financial security from it or anything. You do this stuff and you do it from the heart, and you do it from a place that is just very, I hate the word organic, but you know what I mean. It's a very natural process, and it is very emotional. It's a very, where you've invested very emotionally in it. But once you let go of there needing to be a specific outcome, that's when all the synchronicities happen. That's when all the phone calls happen, and you meet the people, and you know, you just get excited about it and talk about it, and then the next thing and the next thing. So, you know, for Dina and I, definitely we love that the screenplay comes basically just because we'd like to see it in front of us on the screen with actors and people that had, you know, done that thing, and, you know, the ballet could be incorporated into the story, into the TV series.
I was just
Why
thinking
not?
that you could still have the ballet dancers in the TV series. Like, who knows?
So
Amazing.
I've got one kind of a little more grounded outcome, if I could call it that. I believe we'll get to put it on in Feltre at the Siena with Giorgio in summer, and I'm trying to manifest a film crew so that it once again transcends being stage and becomes film, so that it moves media again. And then from that, I can make some more artworks, but I haven't worked out any of how to do that yet, and I haven't told the other girls.
And that's the fun bit. So this is exactly what Caroline was saying. So that you've got a vision of what you see.
Yeah.
So then now let's just follow our like highest excitement. Let's follow the creative kind of, and then let our kind of like inspiration lead us to the you know, the right people. I mean, just as an example, I happen to have a lodger right now who's studying to be a filmmaker, so who knows, like, you know, if he's in his second year of his course, about to go into his third year, who knows, like there could be that kind of meeting, something like that, someone who's like really interested, who wants to come and like film it, and then it gets this, you know, who knows, we can all just kind of think of the fun and the pleasure of like, what if this could be so much fun, and then who knows what will be.
Well, I think Giorgio is at a very specific point in his life and his career, and this ballet is very specific to that. And you know, you can document it, and I'll document at Castelfranco, but there's a difference between documentation and then creating another art form, which is filmic of the ballet. You know, it's not a literal recording of it. It gets edited down, it has close-ups, it has you know, perhaps the readings off to the side, it can have cutaways to real film of locations, so it kind of gets performed and then documented, filmed. You can redo scenes to get the close-ups, you can do the scenery, you can do costume close-ups, and then you make something filmic from that. That is, you know, it's like for Nicola and Giorgio, I think it would be lovely to have. And you know, you would have that forever then. It's more than, you know, me sitting there filming it in
absolutely.
Franco. It
becomes something to another level. Absolutely.
It becomes a media piece in its own right that is filmic, that is not ballet. It's not on the stage, but it is ballet, and it's not a stage experience, it's a screen experience. So it gets shifted for that, in the same way we had to change the screenplay to be a script for a ballet. You watch the ballet and you record it, and then you go, okay, now what else do we need to shift this to be a screen experience? I think that'd be really good fun this summer.
Sounds incredible. Sounds amazing. I love it. Love it.
I haven't got a ticket yet. Wine to make.
It will come. It will happen. It's been so lovely to meet with you all tonight, and to talk through, and to just feel that creative energy that you all have going on around this, and it's just, there's something just really magical about that. Really is.
Nicola, what's your outcome, your next thing?
Well, as I think what you said is exactly what I think. Whatever happens, happens. I'm living life like that at the moment. You know, it's everything that happens is just beautiful. And I literally am taking a day at a time, a week at a time, a happy moment at a time. So whatever happens, happens. You know, whatever makes Giorgio happy.
So beautiful. But you know what, that's for all of us, that's all we ever have, is the present moment. And actually, the more present we are, and the more we can really enjoy the moment, the more things open up in that kind of way that you almost think, wow, like how did that happen? So I think that's such a beautiful way to be like living it and milking the joy as much as possible and really savoring those moments. Absolutely. A really good way to live our lives, whatever's going on, I think. So,
best way.
Definitely.
No, I think I've got to go and make morning tea for everybody.
I'm gonna let you go, and I'm gonna let you go. It's been so lovely meeting with you all.
Thank you, Fanny.
Yes, thank you.
I look forward to coming.
See
Maybe
you
we'll have
in
to do a post-show podcast to talk about it. But thank you so much.
All right, darling. Thank you. Lots of love. See you Tuesday.
Lots of love. Bye.
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 Lots of love.
Bye.
Bye.